Could this little battery-powered saw actually replace 2 different tools in your garage? Maybe this is not just a mini chainsaw. In just a few seconds, you can take this thing from a handheld chainsaw to a telescoping pole saw that the manufacturer says can help you reach branches up to 16 feet high, depending on your height and how you're holding it. But here's the question I really want to answer today. Is this 2-in-1 pole saw actually powerful and practical enough for the average homeowner? Or is it one of those tools that sounds better on paper than it performs in the real world? We're going to look at the handheld saw here, extend the pole, look at the different angles that it can do, and talk about the 990 watt brushless motor, batteries, automatic oiling system, and tool-free chain adjustment. Stick around to the end. I'm going to let you know who this saw makes most sense for and who should purchase this. So if you hadn't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe, and let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, let's start with what you're actually getting here. This is the 2-in-1 cordless pole saw and mini chainsaw. You can see the pole here. The 2-in-1 design immediately caught my attention. Instead of buying a separate handheld pruning saw and then buying a completely different pole saw, this is designed to give you both. So you can cut something down low at eye level, or you can use this telescoping pole saw right here with the battery on the end. You can use it as a traditional pole saw to get up those higher branches up, real high up in the tree that you can't reach with a handheld saw. So instead of digging out another saw, you're able to attach this and do this with the included extension pole right here. Just snap it on, and then you pull the trigger here. And now you've got a cordless pole saw. That's a pretty clever concept, because if you're a homeowner with a few trees around your property, you may only use something like this a handful of times throughout the year. So having one tool that can perform 2 different jobs could potentially save you some money and some storage space. Now let's talk about one of the biggest reasons somebody would buy this, and that's simply the reach. The telescoping pole adjusts from approximately 5.5 feet all the way up to 9.96 feet. You can see right here it's going way up. You lock it right there. See that? And the company also says that depending on the height of the person using it, you could potentially reach branches approximately 16 feet high. Now that doesn't mean the pole itself is 16 feet long. That's taking into consideration the length of the tool plus your own height and reach. But here's what I like about this idea. Instead of immediately getting on a ladder with a chainsaw, which is something I personally don't want to be doing, you can potentially stay on the ground for a lot of your pruning because of this pole saw. You can also push this button to change the angle, which is really neat. And obviously, anytime you're cutting overhead branches, you still need to pay attention to where that branch is going to fall. Keep other people out of the area and follow the manufacturer's safety instructions every time you use this chainsaw. But having that extra reach could make certain jobs much, much easier. And here's another feature I think is really important. The saw head isn't locked into one position. I just showed you that. You actually got 6 different working angles. I'm going to show you that. And you can go back this way, because tree branches don't conveniently grow exactly where you want them to. You might have one coming straight across, another one might be angled upward, and another one might be hanging down over your yard. Instead of trying to twist your entire body and wrestle the pole into some crazy position, you can adjust the head to better match the angle of the branch. And when you're working with the pole fully extended, that becomes even more important, because the further away that the saw gets from your body, the more you're going to appreciate being able to position the cutting head where you actually need it. Now let's get into the power. Inside the saw is a 990 watt brushless motor, and brushless is something I like seeing in a cordless outdoor piece of equipment. Compared with traditional brushed motors, brushless motors are generally designed for better efficiency, reduced heat, longer motor life, and good torque. But specs only tell us so much. Well, what I really care about is this: when I put this chain against a branch, does it actually do a good job cutting, or am I going to be standing there forever? And this offers just that. It cuts really good, very sharp. And when I cut with this, I'm not trying to force the saw through the wood. I'm letting the chain do all the work, and this thing done a phenomenal job on tree branches. Now, that's something I would recommend every time when you're using a tool like this. Don't feel like you got to put your entire body weight into the saw. A good saw will do the work for you, you not do the work. Let the chain and motor do all that they're designed for and do the job for you. That's why we have tools, guys. Now, let's take the extension pole completely out of the equation. Let's take this off. This is where that 2-in-1 design starts making a lot of sense. Maybe you've already brought down a larger limb and now you got it laying on the ground. Just imagine with me right now. You don't need a 9-foot pole anymore. You take the saw off and now you got your handheld pruning saw that you can cut the branches into smaller pieces. You can cut into smaller branches. You can trim limbs down so they're easier to move. You can clean up storm debris or general pruning around your property with a handheld version. And I think that's probably one of the biggest advantages of this design. You could cut the branch out of the tree. You could bring it down to the ground where it's more easier to work on. You remove the extension pole and continue cutting that same branch into smaller pieces using the exact same saw. You're not constantly walking back to the garage looking for another tool. You got everything right in front of you ready to work. And I think that's so cool that you can detach this, slip the battery on here. It comes with 2 batteries, by the way. Now let's talk about something that's extremely important with the cordless tool, and I just mentioned it. It's the battery life. So it comes with 2 removable 21-volt, 4,000 milliamp lithium batteries inside the package. And I'm glad they're giving us 2 of these, and according to the manufacturer, let me take this off. According to the manufacturer, you're looking at approximately 80 to 100 minutes of continuous use without charging, taking approximately 2 to 3 hours to charge this. And of course, real world runtime can vary depending on what you're cutting, how hard you're working the saw, and battery condition, temperature, and other factors. But I just replaced the battery. But having 2 batteries is the important part for me, because if you got a bigger cleanup job, you're not necessarily finished when the first battery runs out. Usually you're going to take more than 1 battery, and it's nice to have one already charged. So swap batteries and keep working while the other one is waiting to be charged, and so on. The batteries also include overload protection and temperature control designed to help protect the battery system. Now, this next feature might not sound exciting, but if you've ever used a chainsaw, you'll understand why this matters, and that's chain lubrication. This saw has an automatic oil filling system. You fill the reservoir with appropriate chain oil, and the system is designed to help keep the chain lubricated while you're working. So nice that you can do that. And there is the oil reservoir right there. You just unscrew the cap and put it in. Proper lubrication is important because you got this chain moving around the guide bar at high speed. Keeping everything lubricated helps reduce friction and wear and helps the chain move more smoothly. One important thing to mention, the package includes an empty oil bottle, but the lubricating oil itself is not included. You'll have to supply that yourself. So don't open up the box and immediately head outside expecting to have everything you need right off the bat. You'll want to make sure you've got the appropriate oil before you start using it. Here's another feature I really like, especially for someone who's relatively new to chainsaws. You got tool-free chain adjustment. Now, there are 2 knobs here on the side, as you see. You loosen the side cover knob, adjust the chain tension like you want it, and then tighten everything back down. Simple as that. That's much more convenient than having to stop in the middle of a job and go searching through your toolbox for a wrench. Now, that's just so aggravating. I love that design. Chain tension is something you need to pay close attention to. A chain that's improperly tensioned can cause problems and can create a safety hazard if you're not careful. So always follow the instructions for proper chain tension before operating the saw. But being able to make that adjustment without carrying around another tool is definitely convenient. And they actually give you quite a bit in this package. You got the cordless chainsaw, you got the telescoping extension pole, you got a shoulder strap in there, and two of these batteries, these 4,000 milliamp batteries. You got two chains with one already installed, a guide bar protective cover. Here it is. You get a screwdriver, safety gloves, safety goggles, an empty oil bottle, and the instruction manual. You just don't get the oil. And the saw also comes with a 365-day warranty according to the manufacturer. So this isn't just the bare saw and one battery. You're getting a pretty complete package when you get this kit. I especially like having the socket chain and socket battery because those are things that could actually be useful later while you're doing bigger jobs. You'll have two batteries, and I love that they have the extra chain because it will eventually get dull. So who do I think this saw is really designed for? I think it's primarily going to appeal to the average homeowner. If you got trees around your house, you got branches hanging over your yard, or maybe small limbs that need to come down from time to time. Maybe occasional storm cleanup, all about that. Limbs could be hanging. Or maybe you got several acres and you're constantly maintaining trails and trimming smaller branches. This could be a very, very convenient tool. It's also worth considering if you don't want to maintain a gas-powered saw for lighter pruning jobs. You put in a charged battery, you check your chain and lubrication, and you're ready to work. That is that. But I wouldn't look at a compact 2-in-1 pruning saw as a replacement for a large professional chainsaw if you're cutting down big trees or doing heavy forestry work. That's not really what this tool is designed for. It's designed for smaller jobs around your home for the average homeowner. All right, at the beginning of the video, I asked this: is this 2-in-1 pole saw actually powerful and practical enough for the average homeowner, or does it just sound good on paper? Based on what I've looked at and at the cutting I've done with it, yes, I think the concept makes a lot of sense for the right person. And the biggest reason isn't just the motor, it's the versatility. You're getting a handheld mini chainsaw. I like doing that. And then within moments, I can just attach this bad boy right here. And I got a telescoping pole saw, and it has the 990 watt brushless motor, two 21 volt 4,000 milliamp batteries, automatic chain lubrication, tool-free chain adjustment, and the accessories included in the box. And you got a pretty interesting setup for a regular property maintenance for the average homeowner. So if you're a homeowner who only needs to prune trees, clean up smaller limbs, and reach those aggravating branches that are just a little bit too high, this is the type of tool I could see being extremely handy to keep around. Just remember, use the proper protective equipment, inspect the saw and chain before each use, and keep people clear of the cutting area, and never stand directly underneath the branch you're cutting because that hurts the head if that branch falls on it. Now, I got a question for you. Would you rather own two separate saws or have one tool that converts between both the handheld and the telescoping? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you, seller, for sending this cool tool out for me to try out. I'm totally loving it. So thank you so much to the brand, and I'll see you in the next one.